And today we're going to be looking at minimum stay booking online, and specifically how you can restrict your lots from being reserved online for a certain determined amount of time. So there's two ways we can do this. The first way is using the base rates and the gated dates for a global rule on all our lots. So the way the base rates minimum booking length work is they are assigned to our base rate. So the rule is configured on our base rates, and the lots are assigned to our base rate. So when we do change the minimum booking length for a specific rate, it will affect all the lots that are assigned for that base rate. And subsequently, if we have different rates, those minimum booking length must be assigned also for those rates. Now, the way the gated date work is for a global entire rule set that allows you to control the minimum booking stay on the calendar on the online booking portal. So those are the two that we're going to be looking at today, which is base rate minimum booking stay and the global gated date rule. So let's get started. So let's go to the admin portal side of PitchCamp. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to verify our lots. We need to understand what rate names our lots are assigned to. So the two we'll be looking at today are lot number 2 and lot number 3. So we can tell that our lot number 2 is using what's called base rate A, and our lot number 3 is using base rate B. So let's head over to the admin panel and underneath rates, and let's look at those. So we can currently see that base rate A has a minimum booking rental online of 7 nights, okay? And our base rate B has a minimum booking online of 2. So let's check out what that actually does online. So let's go to the online booking page and give it a nice refresh to make sure we have all the new settings applied. Now let's make a 5-night reservation, knowingly that lot number 2 is assigned to base rate A, and base rate A has a minimum booking online of 7 nights. So let's do it from June 12th all the way out to June 17th. So this is a 5-night reservation, and we can see that our lot number 3 is available, and the system does allow us to rent it out. Now let's take a look at the top here. So we have 101 available lots and 2 of them which are unavailable. Now let's change this. So let's turn the show unavailable results on. And now we see the 2 unavailable results on the grid. In the top here, we can see now we can actually have a peek at our lot number 2, which is assigned again to our base rate A. And the system will clearly tell us that the minimum night rental for this property is of 7 nights, which is what we configured. And it doesn't allow us to rent it out, but it does warn the client that it can't rent it out unless it's a 7-night rental. So let's change that. So let's make a 7-night rental. So let's go from June 12th all the way to June 19th. Now that is a 7-night stay, and now the system allows you to book lot number 2 because it's of a 7-night rental. So that's the first type of prevention we can do to restrict the number of days for a specific lot. Now let's look at global settings. So currently we're setting rules for specific lots which are assigned to rates. Now let's head back to the admin portal. Now on the admin portal, if we go into the admin menu all the way down to what we call date brownouts, and we're going to add a new date brownout by selecting the plus menu. Now the date brownouts have 2 different types. The first one is called unavailable type, and the second one is called gated types. Okay, the gated type is what we're going to use, and the gated types allows us to gate a specific number of days. So it will force the client to have to rent those specific time frame for the entirety of the gated date, or as long as they have the same or greater number of nights that are defined in this gated date. So let's define a 7-night stay. And again, what we're going to do is we're going to go from June 12th and all the way down to June 19th. And that is a 7-night rental. And let's enter a description. So we're going to say this is a special event which needs to be booked for the entire week. Okay, and this description is also displayed to your user, which we'll see in a second. So again, we have a type of gated dates, it's active, and we have our date range. So let's add it. And now we have our date brownouts that is active and ready to be used online. Now again, these date brownouts for gated dates are for the entirety of all your lots online only. Okay, so let's head over to the online booking page. Now let's give it a nice little refresh just to make sure those settings are applied. Now when your guests go to the online booking page and they click on the arrival date, what you'll notice is you have a pink section, and this pink section are the gated dates that we've just added. Now, the client, when they reserve, they must select the gated dates for their entirety. So let's go ahead and try to select it for 5 nights. So from the 12th all the way to the 17th. And watch what the system tells us here at the top. It gives a user a warning that the gated date must be rented in their entirety or have the same or greater number of nights if a partial day is selected. Okay, so they can't actually do that. So they must select the 7-night on the calendar. And let's go ahead and select those 7 nights. And again, now we see our lot. So we can see our lot number 2, we can see our lot number 3, and so on. Now the gated dates work a little differently than blocking the dates on the base rates. So for example, as long as we have a 7-night rental, then the gated dates will allow us to do that booking. So let's do another example. So let's go from the 11th all the way to the 19th. And watch what we did here. So we're essentially giving it still a 7-night rental. However, we're arriving 1 day ahead of our gated dates, and we're leaving 1 night before the end of our gated dates. And that is a valid scenario because the system is basically making the calculation that we have a 7-night rental and it's still within the parameters of the minimum number of nights. And we could have also done a longer stay, so for example from the 11th all the way to the 20th, which let me do that again, all the way to the 20th. Oops, the 11th all the way to the 20th. And that is a reservation for 9 nights. And the system still allows the users to do this, and that's because it's of a greater value than the gated date period. So there you go. So those are the 2 main ways you can go through your system and add a minimum booking length, either by configuring it through the base rates or through the gate rates. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have a good day.